I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. You know, a minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
The Indiana Fever versus the Las Vegas Aces isn't just a playoff series, it's a heist unfolding on national television. Indiana shocked the world by stealing Game 1 in Vegas. But from that point forward, the story flipped. The Aces didn't claw back with strategy or pure talent. No, they had an extra weapon in their corner, the referees. Whistles so lopsided that at times the game stopped looking like basketball at all. Head coach Stephanie White saw it. Fans in Gainbridge saw it. Social media saw it. And in one of the rawest post-game interviews of her career, White demanded nothing less than a league-wide investigation into WNBA officiating. Because let's be real, the Aces weren't beating Indiana. They were being handed victories, and the tragedy. Those phantom whistles overshadowed the very thing that made Indiana special, their grit, their resilience, their refusal to quit.
Disappointing, you know, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways. But we also can't allow that to consume us, right? Like, we've got to be able to play through that. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control.
From the opening tip of Game 1, the imbalance was obvious. Vegas couldn't find rhythm offensively, so they leaned on the whistle. Meanwhile, Indiana's physical but clean defense magically turned into foul trouble whenever it suited the refs. The Aces threw elbows and barreled through bodies. The Fever, they got called for simply breathing too close. The double standard wasn't subtle, it screamed at anyone paying attention.
Steph, why don't you think you were able to find any flow, and when that was the case, what are you trying to do to jumpstart things, maybe on the defense?
Well, it's hard for us to find flow when there's a foul call every 10 seconds. I mean, it just really is. You know, and when they're at the free throw line, we can't get up and down the floor. And that's a challenge. They were much more aggressive and physical defensively. And, you know, we didn't counter that with our off-ball actions or with our back cuts. So they took us out of our comfort zone. I mean, offense is about rhythm, it's about timing, it's about spacing. We allowed them to do that, and they kept us from doing it.
By Game 2, it wasn't just a pattern. It was the story. The whistles dictated pace, rhythm, and momentum. By Game 3, the officiating bias wasn't an obstacle, it was a brick wall. The defining moment came in the third quarter. Aaliyah Boston contested Jackie Young, got whistled, and Stephanie White immediately motioned for a review. The bench was ready, the crowd was on its feet. And the officials? They flat out ignored it. Seconds later, Chelsea Gray buried a dagger 3, flipping momentum.
Asia Wilson is 1 for 12 as a foul is called on Boston, and that will be number 2 on Aaliyah Boston.
You saw Indiana picking up full court pressure defensively. And if you're Aaliyah Boston, that's the one spot on the floor you do not want to get a foul call.
And Stephanie White is trying to challenge it and did not call the timeout in time. Gray in the corner.
Indiana's lead evaporated, not because of execution, but because officials refused to acknowledge a review request. That clip went viral within minutes. Analysts broke it down frame by frame, flops ignored, elbows missed, and cheap shots from Vegas that magically went unseen. What started as bad officiating now looked like an agenda.
Follow it up by Lexi Hull getting called for the foul.
I thought it was egregious, honestly. I mean, I thought it was obvious. You know, I felt like AB got one, had one going to the rim. They're in rotation. And in Lexi's, I felt like equally, you know, we talk about, you know, coming into the path, and it was an offensive player veering into the defensive player's path.
And through it all, Indiana didn't break. They didn't fold. They fought, and no one embodied that fight more than Lexi Hull. Think about this. A player battling a painful back injury, listed as questionable every game, someone most assumed would give her team just a few minutes. Instead, she delivered the performance of her career.
Lexi, you have drawn the most offensive foul in the W this year, including the playoff. How are you able to do that?
I'm just trying to defend as hard as I can, and there's only certain screens you're allowed to set, so just trying to trail them, and that's all I can really say.
16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, a steal, 6 of 10 shooting. and 3 massive threes that tied her with a Fever playoff record across 2 games. Every shot was a lifeline, pulling Indiana back whenever Vegas threatened to pull away.
Boston has the mismatch on Lloyd. Help comes. Kick out. Hull will fire. And hit from 3. Last 2 positions inside from Indiana. Smith tied up by Hull. And a jump ball between Smith and Hull.
But it wasn't just the numbers. It was how she got them. Hull grimaced with every movement, but never stopped diving for loose balls, never stopped fighting for rebounds against bigger, healthier players, never stopped throwing her body into the battle. Her effort was oxygen for the Fever. Every rebound, every shot, every sacrifice kept Indiana alive when the officials tried to suffocate them.
On the left side of the floor, just to clear out, letting Jackie Young go to work.
Jackie Young with 17 points. Boston to the corner. Hull, catch, fire, and hit. Correct call. Evans dishes. Gray whips a pass inside. What a denial from Lexi Hull.
The Hull able to save the play.
12-point game, a little under 2.5 to go. Hull hits Indiana's first field goal of the quarter.
Fans inside Gainbridge knew what they were watching, a warrior. That's why the crowd rallied to her. That's why her performance should have been the headline. Instead, it was buried under controversy.
Back to Hull, wide open 3 is good.
The floor that she wants, doesn't it?
It does. Mitchell, connect. Here's Mitchell. Mitchell, one more. You bet.
And maybe that's the perfect metaphor for Indiana. Underdogs constantly shoved aside, but still standing tall. On one side, Hull dragging her body through pain for her teammates. On the other, Aya Wilson, the so-called MVP, invisible when it mattered most, kept afloat only by whistles. The contrast said it all. One team earning everything through sweat and sacrifice. The other carried by officials more interested in protecting a brand than protecting the integrity of the game.
Offensive foul, practically a football check, and the Aces score. So now the Aces cut it to 2, and then Asia Wilson sets an illegal screen, and they tie things up. And then Lexi Hull gets called for a foul for doing nothing when they just had 2 illegal screens they didn't call. All right, so this is fair. Same thing happens on the other side, but they don't call a foul for Kelsey Mitchell. So Leah Boston gets called for this foul for getting her arm grabbed, but Stephanie White can't challenge. They won't let her. That's the second time this game they didn't let her have her challenge. And then Asia Wilson starts acting like a big baby.
Because picture this. The reigning MVP going nearly 3 quarters without a basket. That was Wilson in Game 3. She opened with a 3, then bricked her way to a 1-for-11 first half. She limped to 13 points on 20 shots, an inefficient mess that would embarrass a rookie on a 10-day contract. Instead of asserting herself inside, she floated outside, tossing up contested prayers, clearly rattled by Aaliyah Boston's defense. So ask yourself, who really showed heart? Who really deserved the spotlight? The answer is obvious. Indiana fought. Lexi Hull bled for it, and the WNBA let it all be overshadowed by the sound of a whistle.